Society. Hello, I'm Andrew. I'm the owner of Northland Rosarium, the mail
Mm.
order portion, not the garden center. Nice to meet you all. Is this the famous Tri-Cities Rose Society?
This is part of this. We're a kind of a slim group tonight, but yeah, this is part of us.
That's great. Nice to meet you all. I was the president of the Spokane Rose Society for a couple of years, so I know how it goes. Having a few of the main group come into the meetings. And who's the president now?
That's me in the top middle.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Harlow Young, yes. Hi.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, Jolene's been awesome getting everything ready.
Good.
It's been good to talk with her and collaborate. So, I kind of set up a PowerPoint presentation, something. I don't have a lot of words in there. I wanted it to be more organic so you guys can ask questions. But I just kind of wanted to tell you about my personal, experience with roses in becoming the owner of Northland Rosarium. It's been a long time coming. I worked there for 10 plus years. But I'll get into it and I'll show you guys some pretty roses too. So let's see here. I'm just figuring out Zoom too. By the way, Jolene and I were like on here 20-30 minutes ago figuring this out.
Yeah, that's why our business meeting took so long, because I couldn't get those pictures to come up. But it was the share screen thing in the green box down below.
Yep, there it is. Okay.
All right.
So here we go.
Oh, yes.
And
nice.
Slideshow. Okay, so we're going to start here. So this is kind of my insight into my experiences with roses and kind of my experience with Northland Rosarium and the changes that we've been making. Carol, you guys know Carol Newcomb, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So wonderful person, almost like a mother to me. I mean, I'll get into it later, but she's one of my favorite people in the whole world. The experience we've been through and kind of her passing the torch to me and my personal growth along the way, which it's been exponential the last 5 years. So kind of fun to share with you guys, and I'm glad Jolene reached out so that I could share this with you guys. So it all started at Manitou Park. Have you guys been to Manitou?
Yes.
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 So when I was 18 years old, I was working at Safeway in the produce, and my supervisor, his dad was one of the main park people, and he got me into Manitou Park, and I quickly moved into the rose garden, found kind of a passion for roses, and lucked out with an opening here. And so I worked at Manitou on Rose Hill with Steve Smith and Tuong for 8 years. And here's a beautiful photo I took. This is actually during the fires of, I think it was 2016, back when the smoke was just, you couldn't breathe. This day they actually sent us home. But I thought that was kind of a cool one to share with you guys. This is Tuong Nguyen. He was my mentor. He taught me basically everything I know about roses. Do any of you guys recognize him?
No.
No. So he was a Vietnam vet. He was a prisoner of war for 8 years, and he told me his whole story. He always said, "The U.S. is heaven." He said, "This is heaven." He was like, if you can grow flowers for beauty instead of food for feeding people, then you're in heaven. So he really, really appreciated roses and flowers, not just food production. But this man was a beautiful man, and he passed away 2 years ago. And I really owe everything I know to him. So I have a couple of photos just of roses that I took around Manitou, Arctic Blue. This is one that I just love it. Very prolific, purple, light purple, pink blooms. Francis Meand, Hot Cocoa. This one's a big hitter. You guys know Coco Loco, Honey Dijon, Hot Cocoa. This is just kind of they're very masculine roses, but beautiful. Here's Julia Child blooming at Manitou. Marmalade Skies. Memorial Day, Rouge Rail, and Secret. Secret's one of my favorite, just most fragrant rose. One of the most fragrant roses I've ever smelled. If you can find it, get that. I don't think I can sell it yet, but it's a beautiful rose. Strike It Rich. And there's the rock wall at Manitou. That took us a couple weeks to prune every year, but it's just beautiful when it's blooming. If you guys ever get a chance, definitely go check out the rock wall. Probably late May, early June is the best time to check it out, but it's just. And I took this 2 days ago at Manitou. So you guys get the picture. Right now I'm in Arizona. My grandma's sick, so I actually had to come to Arizona for some family stuff. But I left. This is the day before I left, and then I arrived here, and it's 80 degrees and sunshine, so I can't complain too much. And so you can see here. Can you guys see the point?
Yes.
So these are some of the climbers that go around the arbor. Typically, Steve and I would wrap them up with like a winter cloth, and then wrap them all the way around with a rope, just to keep them warm through the winter, so we get very little dieback. But this last year we had so I started working back at Manitou back in March 2020, and I worked 3 days, and then they had to lay everyone off. All the seasonals were laid off for COVID. So, so the garden, he had a hard time getting it under control. Harder time with pest management, disease management, and obviously winter prep. So I expect this spring to be a little bit more dieback on these climbers, which is difficult. I think you guys probably get the same type of weather in Tri-Cities. Maybe a little bit colder with the wind, huh?
I think Spokane's colder usually.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you guys are on the Columbia, so maybe a little bit warmer.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, this was a cold winter, or cold February. Okay, so basically, so when I was working at Manitou, I took care of this whole side up here, and Tuong took care of this whole side up here. So I was up here working, and Carol had come into the garden, and she was taking cuttings for propagation, and she would in turn fill holes at Manitou, just donating roses to Manitou to fill whatever had died. And we got talking. We talked for half an hour, and she just offered me a job on the spot. And she was like, "I hate to take you away from Manitou, but if you want to work part-time or whatever you can with me, then come be my gardener." So I did part-time Manitou, part-time Northland Rosarium, doing the gardening for 3 years before I finally realized that my passion was with Northland, and I was able to grow a lot faster and a lot more with that path. So I moved fully into Northland, and quickly became the the pretty much the manager of all the employees, the shipping, the sales house, all of the online orders and everything. So I did that I worked there for 8 or 9 years. And then Carol and I decided that I should take over the mail order portion of her business. So I'm going to get into that. So this was where so this is like a typical March at Northland Rosarium. You guys have probably been there and seen this, just how it is. Here's like the David Austin garden. There's some clematis and the gazebo. And so I actually had helped design the David Austin garden, all of these gardens, and then maintain them. So this is sort of just like what I'm walking into in March. And then this would be after pruning and a little bit of sunshine. May, June, this is kind of springtime. This is one of my favorite times in the garden. And then here would be midsummer, June, July, where there's some actual flowers. But it's just such an amazing place. I'm so grateful to have been able to work here. Do you guys have any questions so far? No? Okay.
What kind of mulch is on
Down here?
that one? Yeah. Yeah.
So they would just get like a fine bark mulch, and they put it on every spring. And it's just like from your whatever local mulch gravel company.
How thick did she put it on?
It's about 1/2 inch thick.
The whole layer that you put on, how much?
It's about 1/2 inch.
Oh, okay. So it's just covering.
Yeah. Yep.
Just covering. Okay.
So sometimes every other year, I would say they would get a fine dark compost, and put that on about 1/4 inch, and then throw this barky compost on top of that, just so it breaks down. But the bark doesn't actually retain a lot of the heat like the dark compost would, so it doesn't burn the roots. It keeps them a little bit lighter, and then it breaks it down over a longer period of time. So this is one of the projects that I worked on. I had gone to school at Evergreen State College over in Olympia for zoology and ecology. I got my degree in ecology. But after college, I had gone back for an AutoCAD class, so I kind of learned design, just garden design. So I worked with Carol on her garden, and here's, this is the area of land. She has 3 acres, just basically nothing. And then we went ahead and built a fence. We tilled the soil. I built all these garden beds and planted all these flowers for the propagation garden. So a lot of these are what we take propagation cuttings from for this summer. And then down here is kind of like, I think this was 3 years after we planted. So you can see that after 3 years, all the roses pretty much had taken off and are full size.
So does she just use that then for propagation cuttings only off of these roses that are established?
Yep. Yeah. So these roses specifically are roses that her and I are licensed to propagate, or they're older roses or popular roses. So we kind of take extra special care of this section of the garden just to get as much propagation cuttings as possible. And we start propagating in probably May, June, once the canes are hard enough to actually take cuttings from. And we probably propagate, I would say, 2,000 to 3,000 roses a year each. So she's doing her for sale at the nursery, and I'm doing all the mail order. And my thing is off-site. It's actually at my friend's property. So in the interim before I buy property, I've been working with my good friend. I'll get more into that. And so it's worked out great. But you can also see kind of in the back here, there's another propagation garden. Any questions about that?
So the cuttings that you do to propagate, do those go in a greenhouse or do you do them out?
Yeah, so we do them in a greenhouse. I set up a mister system. So the mister hits them about 10 seconds every 10 minutes through the heat of the sun or of the summer. And then it kind of tapers off towards the fall. And then we do our transplanting in the fall, probably like October time. And then those just sit over the winter. And then in the spring, they right now they're putting on tons of growth.
Those then that you rooted last year are for sale this year. Is that the way that works?
Yep. Yeah. So the cuttings that I took in June had rooted all summer, and then that's what we transplant. And then that's what's for sale this year. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and then also we do a lot of purchasing through Weeks and Star and Greenheart and some of the big producers. So that really propagation accounts for maybe a third of what we sell.
So you don't get starts from them to
yeah, we do. Yeah, we buy starts through them and then transplant those as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially if it's varieties that we're not licensed to sell, then we want to get as many varieties as possible. And a lot of the varieties that we have in the garden are old garden roses and kind of unique ones that you wouldn't be able to find otherwise. So the garden's really the crown jewel. So when I'm not working, I like to travel. I like to travel for visiting gardens. I like to go all over the place. Central America is really my favorite place to travel. So up here, this is Hawaii. This is Costa Rica. This is also Hawaii, and this would be Panama. But I like to kind of see what other countries do for landscape, because really the landscape design is what I love to do. So I look at statuary, because that's an integral part of gardening. I think that it's amazing to be able to integrate statuary into your garden. Water features as well are some of my favorites. I wish I had something like this. That's the Colorado Botanical Gardens, or Denver Botanical Gardens, and here too. And I like to just relax. So since I took over Northland Rosarium as the mail order owner, this guy here is Jed. He's one of my best friends. I worked at Manitou with him for all 8 years, and he owns some property south of Spokane and on the Palouse, and he allowed me to till up this land and build my greenhouse on it, and he helps me to this day taking care of the roses. While I'm in Arizona, he's there helping me every step of the way. So really, I owe everything to him. I probably spent 6 months trying to find a place to put my greenhouse. And then he called me one day and said, hey, you want to put it on my property? And I was like, yeah, that works great.
They're near the Northland Rosarium?
Is it near?
Yes.
Yeah, it's about 5-10 miles away from Northland Rosarium.
Okay, good.
Yep. So Carol and I are actually able to communicate really well. If she needs a specific rose or I need a specific rose, we'll drop it off at each other's house, and we work together pretty much all season. And so this was sort of the building, the project. And these are Jed's kids, and this is Olivia. She's a girlfriend, and we built a greenhouse. It took a lot of work, and I had no idea how much work it would take. And so after visiting other people's greenhouses and learning how bad the wind can get out there in the Palouse, we found probably it's most important to cement in the purlins. So we cemented in all these, and we got some extra wind guards up there, and then you can see it with the top on down here.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Yeah, better safe than sorry. And right now there's like 20, 30 mile an hour winds in Spokane. So I'm here down here in Arizona, like biting my teeth or biting my fingernails. And then filling the greenhouse. So tables, roses, getting lights in there, getting everything ready. It's a lot of work. Yeah. So this is what the orders come in from weeks. You can kind of see they're in plugs, and we unwrap them and take care of them, and then transplant them into our 4x4 inch pots.
Mm-hmm. Or like 2x2s when they come in from the.
Yeah, they're in 2x2s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we use the Pro Mix, the HP Pro Mix. I found it's the best. It has mycorrhiza, so it really lets the roots, take off. And then maintaining everything. So here's me in the greenhouse with all the roses. This was early summer 2020. You can see how much maintenance it would take, fertilizing, watering. I had a terrible time with spider mites this year. I think I missed it a little bit, the timing on putting on the shade cloth, but that was sort of a learning process. And spider mites, if it's too hot, too fast, they just proliferate like no one's business. And I tried miticides, and that didn't help at all. And then I kind of waited, and they actually put out a product that's a fungus that grows inside the mite and kills it from the inside out, grows within it. And I sprayed that for a couple of weeks, and then it finally got rid of them. And it worked out pretty well for the rest of the season.
Mm. So, Andrew, do you see any, if you understand what a sport is of a plant, you see many sports coming through on any of your cuttings or anything like that?
I have not, never.
Not ever, okay.
Yeah, no, not in my experience. Carol would be a good one to ask because she has a lot more experience, but this year, no. I did have a few roses like Sierra Lady, Tropical Lightning, where when they're in a greenhouse growing, they tend to be a lot lighter. So like Sierra Lady should be a true dark orange, and it was light pink. But then when people got it in their garden and they planted it in full sun, it ended up being a true orange. So it was a little bit of like, okay, I'd get phone calls and they'd be like, why is Sierra Lady pink? And I'd be like, just give it a little bit, and then they'd call back and be like, oh, it's regular. So
it's just shy.
Yeah, it just didn't have enough sunshine, So yeah, the sacrifices you take with a shade cloth.
Mm-hmm.
And we only do own root roses, so no grafts, nothing to nothing going wild here, which is nice. And I found that it's a lot more cold hardy and just hardy in general. And so these are some members of the Spokane Rose Society. You guys might know them, but it was awesome being the president of the Spokane Rose Society. They pulled me in and they made me a member. I know Jolene said that there's a couple young members. of the Tri-Cities Rose Society. And I think it's really difficult to get young people excited about roses right now. And I'm sure that you guys are seeing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was great to be the president of the Rose Society. So I think you guys keep trying. It's worth it. You meet a lot of good people. This was our Halloween costume party that we had 2019. And so it was kind of fun to see everyone dress up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wanted to do a special thanks to my parents, my mom and dad, and Mrs. Olivia. I could not have done it without them. They were there every step of the way. They continue to be there every step of the way. And, here we are transplanting. We're always shipping. My mom comes to ship every time. Until I'm getting employees of my own, it's pretty much friends, family, and whatever help Carol gives me. So it's great. This is kind of some of the views from where the greenhouse is. This is the Palouse.
Yeah. So when we order from the Northland Rosarium catalog by mail, we're actually ordering from you. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. So Northland Rosarium, you'd be ordering from me, and in the Rosarium Garden Center would be from Carol, and that would be in person.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
And we have kind of a non-compete, so I don't allow people on my property or on the greenhouse premises, and then she doesn't ship. So we kind of keep that line. Then this is Spangle. This is where my greenhouse is.
Wow.
It's just beautiful.
Wow.
And there's a couple roses that we grew last year. Earth Angel was a heavy hitter. I mean, same with Paris de Vies. Those were some of the biggest roses last year and this year, along with like Honey Dijon, Coco Loco, as you guys probably all know. And this is kind of what our shipping looks like. I think this is my last slide. Yeah, this is my last slide. So this is what our shipping looks like over here. These are like our 2 boxes, 8 boxes, there's 4 boxes. But we wrap them all up and we have like a little sleeve in there so it keeps all the pots on the sides. Carol really put a lot of work into this shipping process, and it is seamless and it's awesome. And we always get people, contacting me and being like, my roses arrived in perfect condition and I can't believe they made it to Florida with no problems.
So you're all over the country then?
Yep. Yeah, we ship all over the country, even Alaska and Hawaii.
Oh my.
Yeah. And we start shipping March 22nd and we ship every Monday. And so, we want to get everything out on Monday because then, if it's going to Alaska, it might take 4 days to get there. And we don't.
Sure.
Yeah, you don't want
The post office allows to see you coming on Monday, don't they?
Yeah, they. So I started shipping UPS this year because of the post office. I was getting so many complaints from people that the boxes were jostled, and so I switched to UPS. Oh, and they were like 2 weeks, and they would arrive totally dry, and it had everything to do with COVID and all the cutbacks and everything. But I switched to UPS whenever possible and had 0 complaints. So UPS now hates me for coming in with 100 boxes every week. So, but I think this year I'm going to get UPS to come out and pick them up from the greenhouse instead of having me to drive them. And then here, I'm excited. You guys are probably among the first to know, but I am looking into carrying T&L product, so other grasses, perennials, clematis, lavender, and having T&L ship them out from their warehouse, and then I will do all of the choreographing with orders and keeping track of everything,
I'm
shipping.
not familiar with that company. What's the name of it?
T&L.
Boy,
Yeah, they're a wholesaler of all perennials. So Carol had actually ordered a lot of product from them as well. It's like T&L. So you can kind of look at their website and see what they have. But that will be, we're ironing out all the details, and I kind of want to introduce it slowly because I don't want to upset customers. If product doesn't show up in great condition. Because that's really the most important thing, is that I keep my customers happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my presentation that I made. I hope you guys liked it.
Very good.
I,
Thank you.
I very much enjoyed it. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Is there anything you guys want to know, about me, about anything, the whole process?
So we would just go to your website in order to order.
Yeah, so
From
just
you.
northlandrosarium.com, and then there's like a shipping date you can choose at checkout. I'm adding more pages as far as I want to do more about garden design, about choosing the right companion plants, about choosing what rows for what situation, what zone you're in, because a lot of people get confused about zones. So I really want to be more educational and more direct with the customer, and making sure that they know what they're getting and why they're getting it. So, yeah.
So as you progress into that, then you would possibly do another presentation for us with some design and
Of course I will.
design and plants.
Yeah, of course. I'd be happy to.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Anyone else, anything?
Tom, have anything?
No, I really enjoyed.
Thank
you.
Okay, I really enjoyed it very much.
Thank you. I really wanted this to be sort of like an insider view on what we've been doing, and I think it's important to be me and not pretend like it's a bigger thing than it is, or that it's a smaller thing than it is, just that it is.
Well, I guess from my own personal, I had no idea that Carol had split off the mail order to you, and so this is kind of good to know, and good to have a new face there for Northland Rosarium.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's
Yeah.
cool. Thank you all for coming. It's great to see all these faces. I actually think that I've seen some of you on some American Rose Society meetings. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all
Thank
so
you.
much. Yeah,
Thank you, Andrew.
you're welcome. I hope to hear from all of you.
We'll check
Thank
out your
you.
website. Thank you very much.
Yep, you're welcome.